Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we have a lot of sales numbers to cover for both Nintendo and PlayStation 5, as well as some more information about Gotham Knights and what consoles it's not going to be on. We have those topics and more to cover, but before we get started, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. That's the best way to let me know you enjoy the content on this channel. Now let's get started. So Nintendo released their financial report for the year ending in March of 2022, and we've got a whole lot of information coming out of this, so I'll try not to commit death by PowerPoint to everyone out there, and I'll try to just hone in on some of the most important information. First, Nintendo saw a drop of 20% in hardware sales for this past year over the previous one. And you can see the graph at the bottom here. We're coming into that fourth column. You have the Switch OLED release, and that pretty much helped it from just being really bad numbers. However, when it comes to software, they are up 1.8% over the previous year, and they've highlighted some of their top sellers here on the right hand side, which includes Pokemon games and Mario Kart 8. And this next chart here highlights those first party sales for the past 5 years. And you can see right at the end of the fiscal year, January through March, Nintendo had quite a few sales, which is contributed by Pokemon Legends Arceus and Kirby Forgotten Land. And then we head over and look at digital sales. They're up 4.5% over the previous year. And then a little explanation of the graph they have here. Yellow indicates software that is only available digitally, while blue is digital, but the title also has a physical version available. And Nintendo went on to highlight a lot of the titles that they have coming out this fiscal year. Of course, this reinforces that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet as well as Bayonetta 3 are still planned to be released sometime this year, although I do note that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet say late 2022 while Bayonetta 3 has just 2022. So could we possibly see the two Pokemon games coming out in December, where we might see a Bayonetta sometime in maybe September or October? And here is where we get an interesting look at individual software sales. So this chart here is in tens of thousands, so basically move your decimal place 2 places to the left and you'll have how many millions were sold. The first 3 columns are year to date, where the 4th column is lifetime. And there's a few interesting notes here of different games. First of all, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold over 45 million units lifetime, which to me is just staggering and explains why we don't have Mario Kart 9 yet. And there are some games that came out just this year I want to hone in on. Of course, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were at the top this year with selling over 14 million units, and then right behind it, Pokemon Legends Arceus at over 12 million units. And I was surprised to see Mario Party Superstars was at 6.8 million units. And then when we skip on down, we have Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, and that did 3.9 million units. And then we have Metroid Dread is coming in at 2.9 million units, didn't quite get to the 3 million unit mark. However, this does make it the best-selling Metroid game of all time, with the original Metroid Prime just behind it at 2.84 million units. And we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land doing 2.6 million, with not a whole lot of time to nudge in there. Now this next chart is a bit confusing, but I want to hone in on just this upper right hand corner here. Proportion of downloadable versions of packaged software sales. Now what this is of all the digital sales, what percentage was for software that had a physical version also. So what this is not is software that had a physical version, what percentage of that was digital. So this is broken down by quarter, and each quarter kind of adds up as you go across the bottom. So let's just look at the final number here at the bottom, which is the total for the entire fiscal year, which is 56.2%. So this means that 56.2% of all the digital sales is for software that also has a physical version. Now if you contrast that to the chart that's just to the left, the proportion of digital sales, we have 42.6% of all software sales are digital. So you can see from these numbers, physical sales still make a pretty good chunk of Nintendo software sales. And then finally, Nintendo has a list of titles that are going to be for sale in the upcoming fiscal year. And this kind of overlaps with what we saw before, but they also added Live Alive or Live Alive or Live Alive or however you say it, along with the delayed Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. So overall, the numbers have been pretty good for Nintendo. And in their investors call where they were discussing all this information, they were asked about new hardware and basically gave a no comment, which obviously fuels speculation that could we see a Switch Pro come out sometime this fiscal year. I mean, I wouldn't put it beyond Nintendo to release a Switch Pro along with Breath of the Wild 2. But knowing my luck, it's probably just going to be a Switch Lite OLED. And while we're on the topic of Nintendo, they had this announcement yesterday. Tune in May 11th at 7 a.m. Pacific, which is 10 a.m. Eastern, for a new Indie World showcase featuring roughly 20 minutes of information on upcoming indie games headed to Nintendo Switch. Of course, this leaves many people wondering, are we going to see Hollow Knight's Silksong at this? Silksong was announced on February 14th in 2019, and they even had a 16-minute playable demo at E3 that year. But since 2019, we've not really seen anything else about this game. I for one kind of doubt we're going to see anything with this being only a 20-minute indie showcase. I would think the anticipation for Silksong would warrant a much longer one than that. Next, we also got some sales information from Sony about PlayStation 5 sales. This coming from VGC, Sony expects to ship 56% more PS5s this year and claims demand is higher than that. The article goes on to say the company announced on Tuesday it had shipped 11.5 million PlayStation 5 consoles during the fiscal year 21 financial year ending in March 2022, missing out on its initial target of 14.8 million consoles by over 3 million units, which it said was due to part shortages. However, the company said it expects to sell significantly more PS5 consoles during its current fiscal year ending in March 2023 at around 18 million units, and that it felt very comfortable it could achieve the target. Now they also go on to add that the PlayStation 5 has shipped 19.3 million units worldwide. But when it comes to Sony expecting to be able to sell more this year, I have questions. We've already seen the CEO of Intel say he expects the chip shortage to continue into 2024. And to its credit, when the PlayStation 5 launched, it was the fastest selling console launch in US history, outselling the PS4 in its first financial year. But then we saw quick drops on sales right after the previous calendar year. So unless Sony knows something that we don't, which they very may well, I'm pressing X to doubt that they're going to sell 56% more this year than they did the previous. But they also added that there were 47.4 million PlayStation Plus subscribers as of March 31st this year, which is down 200,000 from the 47.6 million subscribers during the same period the previous fiscal year. Now, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 software combined and sold 70.5 million units in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2021, which is up 9.7 million from the 61.4 million software sold during the same period in the previous fiscal year. So while software sales are doing pretty good, PlayStation Plus subscriptions are down a little bit, but that could just be people kind of waiting to see what the new PlayStation Plus may bring. And while we're on the topic of PlayStation, we have this headline here from Silicon Era: PS3 and Vita new updates disable PSN account management. So if you remember, Sony originally planned to completely shut down the PlayStation 3 and Vita digital storefronts in 2021. However, it reversed the decision after receiving user feedback, and the PS3 and Vita stores are still available. Now, from the article here, it says the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita received new system software updates that further reduced online account features. The updates brought the PlayStation 3 and Vita versions up to 4.89 and 3.74 respectively. However, the new versions lack several features related to PSN account management. The new system updates removed the ability to create and manage PlayStation Network accounts from PS3 and Vita. The updates also added a compulsory device password input for users to sign in to PlayStation Network. In the patch notes, Sony recommended that legacy console users use a PC or mobile device to manage their accounts. Its newer consoles, the PlayStation 4 and 5, also still retain the account management features. So while it seems that Sony is keeping the digital storefronts up for now on PlayStation 3 and Vita, they're slowly reducing features, possibly to prepare for shutting the storefronts down. However, I have to wonder if this may be security related by the fact that they're making you put your password in every time you access PSN from one of these legacy devices. So at least for now, you're still able to access the storefront and download things you've already bought. And for now, you can still buy some new software on these digital fronts as well. And finally, we have an update to the story we covered yesterday about Gotham Knights. This coming to us from VGC. 14 minutes of new Gotham Knights gameplay featured Red Hood and Nightwing. So with this new gameplay footage, we also got some insight on some of the features that are and are not there. The article goes on to say, Gotham Knights can be played in co-op, and despite an update to the PSN page for the game, it appears to be only 2 players for now. Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood can all be selected. However, it's unclear if certain missions require certain characters. Warner Bros. Also announced on Tuesday that Gotham Knights will no longer be released for PS4 and Xbox One. Gotham Knights is scheduled to launch worldwide on October 25th, 2022. Please note, to provide players with the best possible gameplay experience, the game will release on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and will not be available for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One consoles. So we're no longer getting versions for the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, but with this game coming out at the end of October, I would expect there to be more PS5s and Xbox Series systems out with a larger install base. Plus, if the game is good enough, it could continue to sell for years to come. It also appears that the 4-player post that came on PSN seems to be a complete mistake. So while we were hopeful we might get 4-player simultaneous co-op, I guess it was a bit of a stretch for the size and depth of a game like this. And that's all we have for today. Did anything we cover catch your attention? Were you surprised at some of the Nintendo sales numbers? And what do you hope to see at the Indie World Showcase today? Let me know about that or anything else we covered today. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.